I'm Belinda Carley, the Director of the Institute of Personal Care Science, and welcome to this, the first of the video training that you're going to receive from us. Now we're going to start with some very basic cosmetic chemistry and formulation concepts. Even if you have a Bachelor of Science, Chemistry or Engineering, it is really important that you watch every single video and every single instruction piece, because there's something in here for everyone. One of the great things about the training that we provide is it's extremely specific to the personal care and cosmetics industry, which means even if you've had prior experience or prior training in an allied science field, you're going to learn something from every single video or information that we provide you. I'm going to start with the very most important information I can give you about studying with us as well, and that is to follow the checklist. Now, I've designed these checklists because I can't be there with you. This is as close as we can be, and that checklist is a way of making sure I'm there with you and that you're studying the right bit of information at the right time and in the right order. Please don't skip ahead and please don't skip any steps, because remember, there's something in every part of the study that we're providing for you. Now, one of the things I want to make sure you've already read on your checklist is to access Dropbox. Now, you get a different Dropbox link for each course of study you have with us, and that is simply because there's information required at the beginner level, which is different to the information provided in the advanced level, which is also different to what we provide in our full diploma program. So that Dropbox link is really important for any bits of extra information so that you have it at hand and easy reference. Please make sure you save that link as one of your favorites in your web browser so that you are always accessing the most up-to-date version. Don't save it as a file. Please save it to your web browser as one of your bookmarks or favorites so that you're always accessing the most up-to-date information. I'm going to kick off your training by getting you to create a hydrating mist straight away. Now, as I show you through this very basic formula, I'm going to be explaining some key formulation principles and guidance that cosmetic chemists in particular need to be aware of. And what you'll notice with these preliminary formulations is I'm starting off with very basic equipment. Now, if you have access to more advanced lab equipment, that's fine, you can use it. But a lot of people, when they're first starting out or watching these beginner videos, will only have access to very basic equipment, and that's fine too. In these videos, it's fine if you are using really basic scales like these. But as you progress into more advanced studies with us, you will need to get more professional scales because accuracy becomes more important in the more advanced training. But these formulations, you'll see, I'm using very basic scales and equipment so that you can get started straight away, even if you're studying from home. So now, let's get started. Please look in your formulation starter booklet at the hydrating mist formula. It looks like the one on this screen. There's a couple of things I want to talk you through with the formula that you're seeing now. On the very left-hand side, the first thing you should see is a phase column. And you'll see here that we're identifying phases of our formula using letters. These may be numbers, but it's more common in the industry to use letters. You'll see I have a couple of materials grouped at phase A and a few more materials grouped at phase B. If you look down to the method, you will see that in the steps I refer to the materials we're using as phase A or phase B. This is really important in all of your cosmetic formulas from now on, that you use this phasing method to present your formulas and refer to materials in your method in this manner. It helps reduce human error. If you reference in this way, we are talking about phases or steps of the formulation rather than individual materials. As I mentioned, it helps avoid human error to reference your materials and your formulas this way. Next, you'll see a column percent weight for weight. Now this means the percentage of each material used in weight. As a cosmetic chemist, you need to start measuring everything by weight. And you'll also notice that our formulas always total 100%. Now is a good time to pull out your learning support material so I can run through what percent weight for weight means and how we construct our formulations in percentage. In section 2.2 of the learning support material, you'll see we talk about percentage and composition. Formulas will always total 100%. Formulas containing water will always have QS at the bottom with pH adjusters. I'll explain this in a moment. But for the numerical part, you'll see that we always talk in percentage and it always totals 100%. You may see water written as an amount in formulas, as we have done in the Formulation Starter booklet, or you may see formulas written to 100 next to water, for example, as we have in the learning support material. Either way of expressing this information is correct, but to put a sample together, you need an exact amount of water. So if you have a formula written to 100, you'll need to calculate how much water is present. And you can do this simply by subtracting all other ingredients from the 100 to find out how much water is present. We have this example in the learning support material. In this example, you can see that water is present at 85.8%. We can determine this by calculating 100, because all formulas must total 100, minus 1, minus 6, minus 2, minus 4, minus 0.5, minus 0.5, and minus 0.2. This leaves us with 85.8 to total 100. Please make sure you can see clearly how we've done this calculation before continuing. This is really important, and maths is an integral part of being a cosmetic chemist. I'm purposely keeping these introductory videos quite simple for those of you who are just interested in learning at a beginner level. But as you progress to more advanced studies with us, you will need to pay closer attention to the maths and the calculations, but we'll build you up to that as we go along. Now, let's come back to the hydrating mist. As you can see at the bottom of this formula, I have written QS, pH adjuster. Now, when you create your formulas, you won't know what the pH at the end is going to be. This can't be predicted, and in fact, depending on your water quality compared to your manufacturer's water quality, the NPH you get in your lab may vary to what they get when they manufacture a bulk batch, or even the pH that they get at the end of a formula between different batches, even when the same materials are used. Writing pH this way means we will add what is necessary to achieve a predetermined pH. So in this example, for the hydrating mist, we have QS, which means quantum sufficit. It's a Latin term, which means as much as needed. And we also have at the end of method that the pH should be 5 to 5.5. This keeps it skin compatible. Now, a couple of important notes at this point about pH. As I mentioned, first of all, you can't predict what the pH will be at the end of the formulation. It has a lot to do with the quality of the water going into the formulation, and it can even vary batch to batch. The other thing is you won't know whether you need to adjust your pH up or down, and you also won't know how much pH adjuster you need to add. In some formulas, you might only need a drop or two of a pH adjuster to make a dramatic pH difference. In other formulas, you might find you need a lot of pH adjuster to get a very small move in the pH. So we write QS at the end of the formula because what's more important is that we end the formula in a specific range. Now again, pH is only relevant when we have water present. So in this case, we've set it to 5 to 5.5 to be compatible with the skin. The skin's pH is around 5.5, so you'll find most formulas are adjusted to this pH to be compatible with the skin. There are reasons to adjust the pH to other amounts, and you'll see this when we get to formulating a conditioner. These require more acidic conditions. You will also need to adjust pH to accommodate certain types of actives and cosmeceuticals, and you'll learn about those studying either the Certificate in Advanced Cosmetic Science or the Diploma of Personal Care Formulation, because adjusting the pH to suit the specific compatibility requirements of your actives often means selecting materials to also be compatible in those pH environments. So it's not just a simple, let's just adjust it and we'll be fine kind of situation. You need to think carefully about all the materials you select in your formula, and of course that takes more detailed training to learn. In the formulas in the formulation starter booklet, and to get you started so you don't need to worry about some of these selection elements right now, we've done the work for you and we've made sure it's compatible in the pH environment that we have listed in the formula. Right now, all you need to be able to understand is that QS in a formula like this means as much as needed, and you won't be able to predict what that pH is going to be or whether you're going to need a lot or a little of pH adjuster to move it to where it needs to be. Now we can't adjust pH until the end of the formula either, so I will show you that when we get to the end of this video session. But now let's get started on making this product. Now to make it simple for you, I have pre-measured these items, so when this video is finished you will need to create this product for yourself, but I want you to watch me first. But just bear in mind, I've pre-measured everything to make it quicker and simpler to watch for the video. You will need to take longer to prepare this yourself. And as an example, I'm showing you the very basic scales you can start with, but as you progress in your studies, you will need to get more professional laboratory scales. First of all, I have the water here, and to this I'm going to add the glycerin. In step 1 of the method, you can see I have listed combine ingredients in phase A. So that's what I'm doing as the first step. And again, you're going to see me use very basic equipment here because that's all we really need to do to get started. The other thing you'll see me doing is I am preparing my lab sample to 100 grams. Because my formula's in 100%, converting to 100 grams makes it a gram for gram equivalent. It makes the maths really easy, especially at this early point. But even in your professional formulating career, we normally make lab size samples between 100 to 300 grams anyway. Otherwise you'd use far too many raw materials, and room for error can get larger and larger when you have larger samples you're making. By sticking to 100 grams, we find we can control the laboratory environment, and the maths is really simple. It helps remove human error so we can focus on the product we're creating. Next, we are told to combine ingredients in phase B. So I've already pre-measured the polysorbate 20 here, and I have also pre-measured the rest of my phase B ingredients. So again, when you're creating this at home, just remember it will take you longer because mine are pre-measured. You'll need to measure yours out. I am combining phase B because this is my oil phase. I need to combine my phase B so that my polysorbate 20, which is my solubilizer, will form micelles with the lipid soluble materials here. And then I'm going to add phase B to phase A slowly while stirring. Now, if your product starts to turn milky as you make this addition, slow down adding phase B until it clears up. If you get a milky looking solution, you'll need to start again. It means you haven't solubilized or mixed phase B sufficiently before you've added it to phase A. You should have created a perfectly clear and beautifully smelling mist. Now we need to check and adjust pH. In a larger scale laboratory, you would use a professional pH meter. In your starter kit, you are provided with pH strips. To test pH, using the strips, we simply add the strip, wipe off excess product, and then compare it with our chart to see where it's at. In this case, we can see it's around 6.5. Now remember, your sample may be slightly different depending on your water. This strip is now finished. We throw it out. We use a new one when we test next. Now, to bring pH down, we need to add a little bit of citric acid. And we would keep doing this drop by drop or a couple of drops at a time until we achieve pH of 5 to 5.5. But first, we need to make our pH test solutions. In the starter kit, you are provided with little jars of your pH adjusting media and an empty bottle, already labelled, because I want you to make your own pH adjusting media. So to do that, I'm going to show you that right now. Here we have the citric acid, the citric acid's here, water's here. I add the citric acid to the water, never the other way around. Always add the powders to the water. And these instructions can be found on the raw material information sheet, which is also in your practical kit. This will need gentle heating to fully dissolve the powder. And the same with the tromethamine. I've already measured out my water and I'm going to add the tromethamine to the water. Now, sodium hydroxide is also commonly used. We don't include this in the practical packs because of shipping reasons. We send you tromethamine. This will also need gentle heating, and the exact measurements you need to add are also found in your raw material information sheet. You only need to heat and stir gently, no need to overheat. Now, nothing really we work with is going to cause you any harm, but we have the SDSs in the Dropbox folder for you for all the materials we provide in case you want to reference them. Now that I've made my pH adjusting media, I can finish my hydrating mist. Now I needed to bring the pH down a little, so I'm just going to start by adding 1 drop of my citric acid 50% solution. We stir that through and then we check pH again. In this case, we've landed where we need it to be. If you were to overshoot the mark, you can use some of the tromethamine to bring the pH back up. But as you can see, it only took a couple of drops for us to get the pH to where we need it. And that is now your finished product. You can pack that off and enjoy it. Well, there you have it. You've just finished your first video with us and you've already learned how to create a hydrating mist, how to add your materials, how to read a formula, why we add everything up to 100%, how to create your pH adjusting media, and how to adjust pH, all using very simple equipment and simple techniques that you can start at home. Now remember, for those of you studying our Certificate in Advanced Cosmetic Science and Diploma of Personal Care Formulation, we haven't even started on your formal training towards those certifications yet. Please still persist through the beginner videos because there's lots of tips and tricks you'll learn along the way. Now it's time for you to get making. I want you to make the hydrating mist now. Prepare your pH adjusting media and prepare your hydrating mist. Pack it off and enjoy. Happy formulating!